Lamar's an MVP, Cam's an MVP, Vic's a 4-time Pro Bowler, Steve Young's a Super Bowl winner, Justin Fields is 5-20. You should have said, can we make it a top 4?
He has all the tools to be, one of the best quarterbacks ever in NFL history. He's doing what works right now.
Is it on Justin Fields or is it on the organization? He didn't make a play last year for his football team. They wasn't going to win no games.
The Chicago Bears are the most underrated team in the NFL, and during this offseason have revamped their roster, even though they looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. And honestly, it's become a norm where some careers even go to die.
This is where quarterbacks have gone to die. Like, you look at Chicago, there hasn't been a lot of success. And the bad thing is, you show that clip of Pace and you show him saying, this is our quarterback. I can rewind to several drafts ago, and I got the same thing about Mitchell Trubisky.
But this year could be different because of these 3 things. The Bears' biggest problem in the division is now gone, and they don't have to worry about being owned by A-Rod. And honestly, if a few plays go a different way, this team could have won more games last year. They lost 3 times by a touchdown in conversion or less before trading Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. Then, after they were without those 2, they still stayed within a field goal against the Dolphins, a point against the Detroit Lions, and a field goal against the Atlanta Falcons before the bottom began to fall out the week Justin Fields was injured against the Jets. It would have been very easy for this team to have won 6 or 7 times last year at least, let alone after an offseason of rebuilding. They won 3 games, but played the toughest schedule in the NFL last season in terms of overall winning percentage. Bears opponents had a 55% winning percentage last year, combined for 149 wins, 119 losses, and 3 ties. This year, though, it appears much easier than. Even the strength of schedule says so. The Bears have the 18th most difficult list of opponents. The Bears will play only 7 games against teams in the top half of the NFL according to ESPN's power rankings. And only 4 games are against top 10 teams. And now with A-Rod saying farewell to the division, this helps with division games. But honestly, everyone in the division is either having quarterback questions or just has a lot of questions still. The Packers don't truly know how good Love really is. Goff still really hasn't proven himself. And, well, Kirk Cousins is just a quarterback that you watch on Netflix and can't win a game that matters. But that's what makes this division so interesting.
There's no favorite, and it's wide open, and that's exactly where you want to be.
And I'm not saying Justin Fields has won anything either, but right now, he looks like he has the most opportunity, and with the guys around him, can win the division. And once we're in the playoffs, anything can happen. In 27 games, the 24-year-old threw for 4,112 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 21 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,563 yards and 10 touchdowns. There's still a lot of room for improvement, though. He set the fantasy world on fire last year, particularly in the second half of the season, and honestly can be an MVP candidate if he performs well enough. Yes, you heard that right. I said MVP.
I will remind everybody at home, they were the #1 pick in Chicago for a reason. When your quarterback accounts for 25 touchdowns and 3,500 yards and you're the #1 pick, it means your team is not good.
Reports from camp are extremely positive on Fields, as offensive coordinator Luke Getsy said.
The way you viewed the guy and the way the team viewed the guy to where he was at this time last year to where he is now, I think it just is light years ahead of where it was, and we feel like he has a ton more to grow going forward.
While some are predicting a Jalen Hurts type of leap with the Bears getting DJ Moore and also drafted offensive tackle Darnell Wright in the first round to help protect Fields. But for Fields to look like an MVP, Moore needs to be as good as advertised. While in Carolina, he had 1,000 receiving yards in 3 of the last 4 seasons and ranks 22nd among 100 qualified wide receivers in yards per route ran since entering the league in 2018. Not to mention, he already has more yards than any Bears wide receiver in their history has ever had. And he's done all of this while catching passes from some pretty average quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater. All Fields needs to do is make sure that he's getting the ball out on time, though, and stop taking so many sacks. He was sacked a league high 55 times despite having just 318 pass attempts in 2022. That's the highest sack rate by any quarterback since Jake Plummer in 1997. And not to mention, it was somehow a higher sack rate than David's Carr 2002 season when he was sacked an NFL record 76 times. But stats stats prove that it wasn't the fault of Chicago's offensive line. The unit ranked second in ESPN's pass block win rate, meaning it held its blocks for 2.5 seconds at the second highest rate in the NFL. The problem is though, nobody can hold their blocks forever, and Fields had the longest average time to throw in 3.5 seconds, and really needs to start learning how to get through his progressions quicker, but should be able to, because for consecutive years now, Fields will play in the same offensive system, which should help speed up those reads.
The fact that he's now in the second year of the same system of Luke Getsy's system, to have that continuity, like that does wonder for a young quarterback.
And to help on the ground as well, they did sign Donta Foreman to help in the backfield. And I don't know, there's this other guy that's been having issues getting a deal done. I forget his name, but maybe you guys can tell me in the comments below who it is. I don't remember. He plays for like the Baltimore Colts or something like that. Also working in his favor though, the Bears have strengthened their pass catching unit this offseason, signing tight end Robert Tonyan and drafting 4th-round wide receiver Tyler Scott, who averaged 16.5 yards per catch at Cincinnati. They'll join Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool to form a solid group of wideouts. And maybe it's just because I have him on my Dynasty Fantasy team, but people were so quick to dismiss Claypool, and I don't know why. Arriving in the middle of a season, not knowing the offense, or maybe it was the poor start he had in Pittsburgh last year when the offensive coordinator decided to change the 6'3" big-ass wide receiver into a slot wide receiver, and he was getting hitches or 3-yard outs all game. Either way, people tend to forget Claypool as a rookie averaged 14.1 yards a catch and made 62 receptions and 9 touchdowns. He did all this in a year when Ben Roethlisberger was clearly near the end and throwing the ball out in 2.6 seconds on average to avoid wearing his walking boot or taking a wrist injury. Claypool accomplished it despite the presence in a solid wide receiver corps of the Steelers. And on the other side of the ball, the defense carried the Bears for years. Honestly, generations, and they really need to get back to their old form where they were known for their stout defense. The offense went on a stretch where it seemingly scored at will, but Chicago couldn't stop anybody. In weeks 8 through 11, the Bears offense averaged 28.8 points per game. That doesn't matter when the defense is allowing nearly 35 points per contest. The Bears couldn't get to the quarterback after trading away Mack and Quinn, so the key will really be finding a pass rusher this year. There are still players available on the open market who would help this cause. Jadeveon Clowney. Their secondary is another story though, specifically the safety spot. We're having great leadership from Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson, who both were plagued with injuries last year, are hoping to stay healthy and able to lead this defense back to its old ways. And with other roster improvements all around in DJ Moore and protecting Justin Fields, he should continue developing, then we could see them winning the NFC North and being major contenders in the years to come. But let me know down in the comments below, who do you guys think is the most underrated team this year? If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.